So I've had this lovely munt jack deer off my mate Coops, my game guru. Nice and clean inside, as you can see there. What I'm going to do, I'm going to get on, I'm going to skin it, and I'm going to cut it into primals, legs, middle, loin, obviously, and shoulder. Then we're going to start boning it out, and we're going to see what we can get out of this little bit. Here's the easy way to skin a deer. Just go like that, and it just comes off. Just like that. Turn her over. So I'm going to wash this carcass off. Like I said, break it down into primals. And we get on butchering it. Look at that. Beautiful. Okay, we're going to break this down into primals so we can take it inside and work on it. If we can get this on the camera, you'll see where it comes out the back end. If you just trim, so there's the bone, next bone to it, straight through. See, try and not use a saw if I can help it here. So just bone it round, and there you have your haunches off. Next, I'm going to cut these breasts off. So I'm not going to waste any of this. I'm going to dice it all up, going to mince it all up. So just cut those off. So I'm just going through that other breast on the other side. Obviously there's not a lot of fat on this, actually next to nothing, so they are quite hard to use a saw on. So what I'm going to do next is I'm going to take these shoulders. See in the ribs, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 that side, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 that side, and all you do is join that cut up. Might be able to go through with your knife, and there is your loin, your shoulders, your breasts, and your haunch. Right, before I take this in, I just want to split these legs. So all we're doing, as you can see, the natural seam. And I'm going to get my saw, go straight down the middle. There's 2 legs. So I'm going to do the same thing with the shoulder, so you don't have to watch it. I'm going to go straight down that bone, straight on that line down there. We'll have 2 halves of that. But first of all, I'm going to cut the rack end of the loin off. So I'll just go through there, just get through there. So we got our rack and our loin end all ready to work on. Right, the first thing we are going to cut, we're going to work on, is obviously this loin, which we took off, and these breasts. Now what I'm going to do, I've got a bowl over there for all my trim, and a bowl there for all the waste. So first thing we're going to do, just trim any of the waste off these breasts. And like I said, I'm going to try and get as much out of this, so I'm saving everything on this one. It'll either be minced or diced. So that goes in there. That goes in there as well. Now the thing with this, it's not the best set beast ever. What I'm doing is going through the cartilage on that breast, because then what that will do will allow me get through there to have a little set of ribs then, which you could either braise, you know, marinade, get them on your barbie, and then the rest we shall sort out later when we do all the trim. Right, there's a few things we can do with this. You know, I'm tempted to cut it in double chops, but I'm also tempted to bone it out. But I'm a bit concerned, obviously, because there's no fat on it, when we, you know, was to bone it out whole, when I'm coming over that backbone, you know, it might just open up. So, you know, we'll have a go at it, but first thing I'm going to take out is the lovely fillets. Now that's the prime part of this beast, the muscle that's done the least work. You can pan fry that straight away, which we may do, have a cheeky little snack. So they can go over there with that ribs. Now I'm going to attempt to bone out this loin. So all you've got to do is you've took your loin fillet off there, just get your knife in, if you can see, just with the tip, just gently ease it away, and you'll see it's starting to come off. And the same with this end, just nice and steady, and you'll get to the point where it's just hanging on. Which is about there. Now this may work, like I said, there's no fat on it, it may not. So what we're doing is going down one by one, seeing if we can get this off without going through that skin. You know, I'm not exactly convinced it's going to work because there is actually no layer of fat. Let's have a look. Yeah, we've done it. So there you have your double loin. I'm just going to trim the rest of that belly flap off. Now you can split that in half, and obviously you'll have your loins or your back straps, but I'm tempted to roll it together and then slice through. You'll have some lovely loin. Right, onto the haunch. Now what normally happens with this, you guys out there, you know, it just normally gets kept whole and it's roasted. Now that's alright if there's about 20 coming to dinner. You know, if you have the bigger haunches, you know, this is quite big. So what I like to do is I like to break it down into its primals. You can have, you know, a 2-person joint, you can make it go a lot further. So you haven't got to cook it, you know, and you're eating venison for the rest of the year. So I've just nipped in the natural bend there. And I'm just going to hold it, because I want to pretty much get my knife in there. Take quite a bit with that shank. I'm just going to trim a bit up, trim it off, French trim it, just like that. I can go in that pile, and then you have your venison shank. Lovely, especially done with pearl barley in the pot. Right, next I'm going to take off what we call, oh, wrong pile, the chump, or if it was on a cow would be the rump steak. So I'm just going to take this bone out. What you're doing, where that femur joint is, the ball joint, you just gently go through, just with the tip of your knife. I hope you can see that on the camera. We're just easing it round, and then that for the dog. I'm going to just take that bit off. That's where actually the fillet ends. I can go in there. Just going to trim the meat off this, what's left, all the bits. I don't want to waste a thing. It goes in there, and there's the one haunch. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut across there, so we'll get some little steaks out of that. So I'm just going to prepare the other one exactly the same, and I'm going to show you how to break that down into top side, thick flank, and then the little silvers. Or we might just take the thick flank off, take the femur out, and roll that and have that as a nice joint. So as you can see then, it's my 2 shanks, those 2 chumps. They're not very big, but I'm just going to manage to get a couple of little steaks out of them. The rest go into dice, you know, a couple of steaks like that. Nice little mouthful that is, equivalent to the rump. It's all about getting more usable cuts. Right, next. So what I've decided to do is I'm going to take off the thick flank, which there is a seam, I don't know if you can see it on there. It's a natural seam. You go down and you will come like clockwork, you can see in there, to that femur. Get underneath and you'll see where that natural seam goes down to the silver side. And there you have a thick flank, which, just trim all these bits off. I'm going to put over there for a minute, and we may dice it, steak it. In the meantime, I'm just going to bone out this femur. Simple as. There you have the femur. Then you have our top side and our silver side joined, which trimmed up there. Some strings around it would make a nice joint. Right, we're going to do the same with this one. Trim that up. So that natural seam is there. Down to that femur bone, like I said. Tuck under. You'll get to that natural seam. You have to excuse me a minute if I get in the way. It's hard trying to do it for the camera, but you know. Get that femur out. Again, we're left with that lovely piece of meat. Trim that off. And trim that off. So there, put some strings around that, 2 nice joints, haunch joints. Steak these in a minute, I think. We've got some steaks there, and our 2 shanks, and that's just off the 2 legs. Right then, we get to this now, the shoulder. Now a lot of people out there will know, if you take it to your processor, especially in America, you know, they're just going to dice this for you, and it's going to come back as ground, you know, as we call mince. There's so much more you can do with it, you know. For starters, you got these lovely shanks, and obviously that lovely neck muscle. You know, a lot of it will be diced on here, but we're going to get some bits about, you know, out of it. And all I'm going to do is that seam. I'm going to take that shoulder, that leg, that arm off, and I'm going to do the same with the other side, like that. And what we're left with is that lovely neck muscle there. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to trim all that off. Go in the trim pile. I go in the waste because there's a few hairs on it. And I'm going to get my cleaver in there, my saw, and I'm going to take those off. And I'm actually going to cut those into rounds for neck of venison for a stew. It would be absolutely fantastic. You've got that neck meat. So I'll get on and saw them off. Trim it up, and I will show you what I've got. So what I've done there, then you saw that neck piece, and what I've done is I've cut these lovely neck rings. Instead of just boning it out and dicing it, I'm going to keep it on the bone and stew that. I mean, I love neck of lamb stew, and I think this is going to be just as good. So you've got all that meat, and all you've got to do, a little trick, get your steel in, push, and push the other way, and your marrow, spinal column comes out. Nice and safe. So that can go over there. That'll give us 4 shanks. Good meal for a couple of people. shank each. See the joint. Try and hold it up for the camera, that'll cut my hands off. Trim that skin off. Right, what I'm going to do before we go any further, I'm going to trim those up, put them in the fridge. Right. So look at these shoulders. Just give it a trim up, see where we are. You know, there's a good muscle in here. First of all, just going to naturally seam it, see what we got, tidy it up, so you're left with that. Same with this one. That's about right. Right, let's take the bone out. Okay, you can see in there a bend. Put your knife in, straight across. Now that, got a lovely piece of meat on there. Yeah, it's not a lot, but you could cut halfway through, butterfly it out. Do you know what I mean? Anyway, same with that one. See where it is. Take it off here. Just following that bone. I'll put that there. Now, all we're going to do, I should just tidy up these bones, put it in the trim pile, and we'll get back, decide what we're going to do with those. Are they worth, you know, boning out for the muscles, or is it better just to go in the dice? We shall see. The plot thickens. Before we go any further, I just want you to have a look down there. 6. Here, look. What's that? Wow. Yeah, thought so. So I've just boned one of those blades out, and I just want to show you the blade bone, the shape. It's such a funny shape. You know, you've got to get your knife in, round, and there, and there. But what we're going to do, the easy way. So that's the way it is there. So just go straight down. So we've gone straight down there, take that off, turn it over, and you'll hear the bone there, which is there. So, in, just gently start peeling it away. That comes off. In one piece, get some nice thick dice out of that. Then basically just going down there. And that is that blade bone done as well. Now obviously we won't waste these, get some venison stock on. You know, like I said, trying to utilise all of this, you know, maximise, you know, what we can use. It's, you know, there's no good having like, you know, a quarter of the weight back in ground mince. You know, it's going to take forever to use it, you know, and what are you going to make with it? You know, the odd lasagna, I suppose, or burgers, sausage. You know, you need some more usable cuts. Right, that's going into the trim pile. So we got our neck fillets, neck rounds, those 2 shanks. Finally, let's just do that rack. Then we'll get on with the trimming. I'm going to dice it, going to mince it, going to put it all together, and you can see what we got. So here we have the best end and neck end, or the rack end. Now all I've done is that I've sawed either side of the bone there, and all I'm going to do is just bone it out. So straight down. And there's one. You can see on the camera there, just gently done. And what we've got here is obviously the ribs. What I'm going to do, you can see where the eye of the meat is there, I'm going to put one cut there. And the eye of the meat, I'm just going to go a bit above it, join them up. And I'm going to follow the bone, sheet that bone over the top, and then it starts to look like a rack. But what we're going to do, we're going to go in between all these, French trim them, and we're going to cut them into nice thick cutlets, and they'll look really nice. They'll have that rib bone. So with this one again, there, the eye of the meat there, join it up, straight along, come up. So you've got that muscle that lays on top there. I'm going to take that off, following the natural seam. Now you're starting to make a really high-end cut now. You know, this is proper a restaurant style cut. So same with this one. Just sheeting it off. It's absolutely tipping down outside here. So what I'm going to do then, so I'm just going to go in between each one of these, simple as, just like that, to expose. Okay, you can see my lovely racks there. I've left the bones purposely long. It's all about presentation, and I'm just going to go 2 bones to each cutlet, and obviously that would look great on any plate. Right, I like this bit when it comes to the trim, because it allows you to pick up some pace when you've been cutting all those kind of cuts. We'll kind of get it on there, we have a look through, trim it through. I mean, meat like that really, you know, you could put it in fajitas if you wanted to, stir fries, you know, just chop it up. But we're going to mince it, just going to rock through it. It's a mince bowl, and then bigger chunks I'm just going to place there for now. There's a bit left in there. So I should start piling through this, and I will show you what we're left with. Okay, so I've had that monk jack this morning. I processed it all, I butchered it all. First of all, I skinned it. You know, when I took the skin off, the carcass weighed 20 pounds. So let's just have a look at that waist. That waist weighs 4.5. Nice bowl, by the way. What we got in there is bones, make a good stock. Right, now I'm going to show you where all the meat. This is what we get for all our hard work. And here I am just finishing off that double loin I boned out and made these lovely noisettes. And I shall run you through what we have got. So, let's have a look. Start there then. 4 lovely noisettes, 2 little racks of venison, 6 fantastic double chops, French trimmed on the bone, the 2 fillets, 4 little rump steaks, 6 steaks off the knuckle. This lovely, which I'm going to cook first, it'll be the first recipe of this series, is the neck of venison, 4 fantastic shanks, and these beautiful joints. How nice are those? You know, a bit of fancy bay leaf on there. Some nice dice, decent sized dice, you know, so you can taste it. And obviously, we got some ground meat there, mince. And there you have it. That's my how to butcher a deer too. And I think you'll admit that's a long, long way from just your haunch and your back strap or your loin and your stew and your mince. You know, just spending that little bit of time. I mean, this is more usable, especially if there's just a couple of you, you know, or 4 of you. You don't want to be eating cold venison for the rest of the week, you know, so a little bit of time, and that's what you can achieve. Thanks for watching.